Zuri, I see you, what up?
Voila, I'm feeling my vibe. I'm getting in tune with my emotions. I write them all down. No, I ain't stuck now.
You know, perception is a big thing with a lot of people.
Creates your reality.
Yeah. Your own and other people's. Yeah. But the trick is to not get, like, a lot of people get weighed down by that. And, like, but I always say, this term gets thrown around all the time, be it from, like, girls we know on Instagram or something, or people, like, influencers posting on social media, but you gotta be unapologetically you. Because that's what that, like,
yeah, man.
me and my friend Nate throw that back and forth all the time. But it's like, if you're pursuing your internal and external purpose, there's no room for phoning it in. There's no room for lip service in that.
Yeah.
So you have to just, you have to be you and pursue you.
Yeah. Dude, you hit the nail with the hammer on the head. I don't know that fucking expression, but you know what I'm getting at. But it's, back in high school, I was incredibly inauthentic. I knew Jordan in high school. I knew Dalton in high school. We were boys. Like, I was authentic around them. You know, we were homies. But I noticed I always found myself admiring, right, and wanting to be popular with the popular kids. You know, as a great deal of individuals in high school are. You know, that seems how it naturally is. And to me, looking back on it now, after having, like, a spiritual awakening, a lot more perspective, you know, my brain's developed a lot intellectually, I could see the difference between now and then. When I was, like, incredibly inauthentic, I would dress, I would act, I would talk like the popular kids would. You know, when I was around other people that I guess you could say admired and wanted to be like, you know. But when I was around Jordan, around my friend Dalton, you know, my close friend group who really know me, I was authentic. But I found myself in a lot of times catering to other needs, catering to their views rather than my own. And this kind of, like, ties into what you were just saying, being unapologetically yourself in every situation, being raw, being authentic in every situation you are in, right?
Being real. Being
real, exactly, bro. Because I remember I would find myself just fucking acting like a tool. Like, I would act like a dick, you know? And this is no hate to my former self, you know, this is no hate. I'm not generating it within me. I'm purely learning from it, you know, and I'm looking back, and even today it has conditioned me in certain situations to hold things back, you know, to not be myself, not say how I truly feel, and act in alignment with what the collective view is, you know, and that in a lot of ways can be related to today, right, with everything going on.
Absolutely.
Bro, you challenge anything that the media says, I guess you could say with COVID, you know, really anything about politics, media, all that type of shit, you know, but is really just being real, being authentic, saying how you truly feel, right? Because, once again, like, as long as you're not hating on someone, blatantly hating on someone, right, you have a logical, I guess you could say, view or argument on something, right, and you're being yourself, being who you truly are, and listen, there's nothing wrong with listening to others, but you gotta question others.
Yes.
But you gotta question, man, you know, because you can fall victim to something that's not true.
You can fall victim to the crowd mentality.
Yeah,
and that's very dangerous.
Yeah.
That's very much an issue today.
Yeah,
Like, I cannot stand politics at all.
I feel you, man.
Everybody always gets caught up in, like, this whole left versus right bullshit. Everybody's taking sides. I'm like, what happened to the problem?
Yeah.
Like, what you're getting away from the actual problem,
and
you're aligning yourself into these tribes, and you're going to war. All the Antifa shit, like jacking that city block in Washington. The raid on the Capitol. All of this is a byproduct of, like, crazy tribalism, which has been in great deal ushered in by, like, social media and the internet.
Yeah, dude.
Which is a hotbed for other people's opinions. And seeing as that you're just a drop in this cancerous ocean, it diminishes it for a lot of people. It diminishes the value of their opinion, because everybody has an opinion. But
what makes it valid?
Exactly.
Yeah. It's I think that's it's very good, you know, because social media in a lot of ways it connects us, right?
Yeah.
And it helps us reach people all around the world, helps us get information within a second, right? Helps us communicate in many ways, and it is tremendous because it connects the world. But it's crazy because how can something that social media make us unsocial?
Yes.
And dude, it's
such a weird
yeah.
dichotomy.
Yeah.
Because it's like you have all these people, like you have your friends that you can readily connect with more. Like it's a vessel to hang out with them in person. Yeah. But then it's also a like runway or like it's a pipeline to vanity as well.
Yeah, for
like
sure.
Your meaning is now attached to a number.
Oh, dude, yeah. I mean, it's like you bring up this whole equality thing again too, right? Someone who has a blue check mark, it looks at like they're superior, you know, like from someone who has okay, I have like 400 something followers, right?
Yeah.
And I see someone with fucking 10 million, right, with a check mark next to their name. I'm like, oh my god, dude, this guy's fucking awesome. I gotta be exactly like him. Mm-hmm. That's what brings in the authenticity, right?
Exactly.
Because none of that shit matters. All that shit is arbitrary, right?
Yes.
Right?
It is so subjective.
Yeah, exactly,
and
man. Yeah.
Oftentimes really meaningless. Because, going back to the high school thing and, who you were.
Yeah.
I was kind of similar. Yeah. But my spiritual awakening happened way before high school.
Really?
Right, yeah. In 8th grade, I have epilepsy.
Oh,
I was taking medication I could not sleep. And I was degrading. It was terrible. But then my sensei told me those words, real words, running back to the social media thing. All this stuff isn't real. Words like that, experiences like that change you personally to cocoon you into what you will become. That's real. That's what matters. Not comments on YouTube or Instagram or how many people you have on Snapchat.
Yeah.
None of this matters. What happens is those real connections. Yeah. My sensei pulled me out of a dark place with just a saying. Wow. And it turned me around. Really? I came out of it. I was getting bullied. I stopped taking shit from people.
Yeah.
I started being myself around my friends, and I was comfortable to be funny around people, and came into high school as hey, I'm one of the funnier guys that hangs out with the I hung out
your identity changed.
Yes, and my people still perceived me as that other guy, but I don't care.
Yeah, you don't,
because their opinions
they
don't matter to me. I don't care how many Instagram followers I have.
You don't care how popular they are.
Yeah, no, I don't care whose party you go to. I don't care what you think of me. I'm going to pursue excellence in any way and every way that I can. And you're either on for the ride, or you can get off the train.
It's an easy exit or it's a fucking hard exit. You know, in one way or the other. And that is crazy, because if your purpose has to be in alignment with all your authentic desires and self, because that is a catalyst. Yes. I mean, it is crazy how much that can change your life within a matter of seconds. Just by one saying, And for me, I always say, I found my authenticity in nature, right? Because I remember thinking to myself, which is really interesting. It's kind of thinking back on it. I was in the car as an 8-year-old, 9-year-old. I was I'm thinking that I am thinking right now. I'm thinking about my thoughts right now. I saw my thoughts for the first time, on a road trip to Maine. And I was like, I cannot stop thinking that I'm thinking right now. And but naturally, it fell off, And then I remember as senior year of high school came up, I was like, why? I just sat there and I was like, okay, yeah, here's where it was. Okay. I was sitting at a table, right? And there was this fucking hot ass chick, alright? Dude, she was fucking nice as hell. And I had a fucking huge crush on her. So I ascribed intent, and I always believed she was looking at me, always looking. And so every movement I had was to make sure I had my best image out there to her, and she always saw me laughing, always saw me, having fun. But really, I'm not even enjoying the moment, right? My attention is elsewhere rather than the conversation we're having right now at the lunch table, right? And so I remember thinking to myself, I sat there and I was like, why the hell am I doing this? Right? I said that. Well, you anyone who knows can't just change a habit within a matter of seconds, right? It takes time, right? And it takes becoming aware of the issue and then changing that issue, right? So for me, I was like, okay, why am I doing this, right? So, and then I was just like, I brought so much resistance in. I tried to stop doing it, and it only made the problem worse.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So no, it only made the problem worse. So I was like, fuck it, dude, whatever, man. And then I was like, fuck it, and then I just kept doing it. I kept doing it, and it just became natural, right? And I stopped thinking about it, and actually that helped me because, believe it or not, I didn't think about that as much. But then as I came into school, right, and college and stuff, and I started to learn more about spirituality, become aware of who I truly am, and I got out to meditating in nature, that's when I found who I truly was, because I was taking my attention off my thoughts.
Yeah.
And as I said earlier, whatever you focus on is your reality,
Yes.
right? Yeah, and yes, there are external factors that change. Yes, I understand all that. What your reality is right here, right now, right, is what we're focusing on. All that, everything else does not matter, right? Because I remember out in nature, just listening to the natural flow of nature, right? The birds chirping, everything. I shifted my image like you did, right? I shifted my identity to just being, right? Just being that consciousness, just being all that is with who I already am.
Yeah.
And just looking at the difference between high school and now, it's crazy, man. It's like, and it's different for everyone, right? It's subjective, it's all based on perception, and I don't know, man. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, it's kind of crazy how you like are conditioned by your past, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's that same kind of idea of like your perception creates your reality.
Uh-huh.
But there's also, like, your reality can also influence your perception, which is big.
Yeah, like external factors.
It's such a weird loop.
Yeah.
It's like going back to the Thor pose. It's like, it's a circle. It's like, it's not really a circle. It's like a freaky circle. That's the only way.
Yeah.
Like, it's like perception influences reality, but also reality influences perception. And other people.
Oh my god! Okay, yes.
Other people's perception can influence your reality.
Yeah,
it's
dude.
so weird.
Yeah. Okay, dude. Okay, this just popped up in my head, and I have to say it. So, whatever you like I said earlier, whatever you focus on grows, right? So, whatever's happening within here, right? The outside is going to reflect that directly, right?
Yes.
It is like a mirror bouncing off energy that you are sending to it, right? And so, with this, I think it's very interesting because, like, literally what you just said, like the circle in, like, how reality will reflect a reality back to you. If I'm thinking negative, negative is just gonna come back the other way, right? Because the universe does not respond to good and bad, all these labels, right? It responds to the energy you're putting out, right? I think a lot of people get stuck in the trap of placing like the universe in a human perspective, right?
Yeah.
Right? Because it's different, right? It's neutral. It's not like humans.
Yeah.
Right? How they think.
It's weird because they have to minimize it to understand it when it's so much infinitely bigger than they are. And so many people refuse to accept that because they refuse to relinquish the illusion of control.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. They're attached to outcome for sure.
Yes.
And like when you start to look at things such as like how you're, like, what the energy you're putting out is a direct reflection back at you, right? And so that is energy. That is not concepts. That is not words. That is intuitive consciousness that you're sending out into the universe. So if I'm perceiving this fucking phone as being dog shit, that phone is going to reflect to me back dog shit. And this is a lot of times when people get stuck, you know what I mean? They're like, but the phone is just there. It's just how it is. It's just what it is, right? No matter what quality it has, no matter if you're comparing it to something else, like your brand new iPhone that I would not mind having, but it's just, it is what it is. And when we start to make these comparisons, right, the energy begins to get divided, right?
Yeah.
And so we get the reflection back to us that, like, okay, if I feel that I'm inferior, the world's going to reflect to me that I'm inferior, right? But if you feel peaceful, right, within yourself, which I'm not saying is easy by any means to achieve.
It is not.
Yeah, it can be, right? For me, it is effortless. But a lot of people let things get in the way of that.
Yeah.
And their attention gets contaminated. But as you begin...
The vibes are distorted.
Yes, exactly, man. Your perception gets distorted. And so as you develop more authenticity, right, and you're not as much focused on those thoughts, that literally cause 99.9% of suffering.
Yes.
Right? They expand, they take something, and they blow it up out of proportion. That is when you begin to find your authenticity, right? And it's just natural. It's innate. So,
Yes.
yeah, it can avoid so much suffering, and it's also your purpose at the same time. So, for sure.
Going back to the meditation thing,
Yeah.
and how it takes many forms. It's weird because like back when I was kind of trying to control my anger, meditation was obviously the first step outside of judo because I hadn't really discovered that outlet yet. It made me feel good, but I didn't know why. Well, I meditated and I felt like at peace, but it's weird because I use conventional meditation in like the way that you're not really, like people say you're not really supposed to, like clear your mind and everything. No, I focus on a singular thought.
Yeah, dude.
And it expands my perception. As I'm here, my body's relaxed. I am focused not on my surroundings, but on a singular idea.
Yeah,
and by
focusing
focusing
like visualization,
on that,
right? Kind of? Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, kind of, yeah.
But as I'm focusing on this sole idea, it expands in my mind to something that I can see the individual working parts.
Yeah.
It's like an array of a clock. Like, I'm sure you've seen those, like, you take, like an item and then explode up and expand it and you see all of its individual parts. That's the problem.
Okay.
Or, like, a topic. Like, I'll meditate before, like, a judo tournament, for example. But sometimes I'll either visualize one thing or another to kind of motivate me. Like sometimes I'll rely on that negativity for like power to kind of like primalize my mindset, kind of like settle into the animal of competition. Or sometimes I'll just focus and try and become at peace. And so it's a weird dichotomy because if both have their success and failures.
Yeah.
Because it's just like sometimes when you rely on the demon for power, you get lost in the technique. But sometimes when you focus too much, you overthink and drop your concentration. So it's weird.
Yeah, you gotta find the right balance.
But like whenever I'm trying to look inward, I meditate. Because
it's a portal into that dimension.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Because
sure.
when I'm trying to let off my negativity, I'm expelling outwards. But I meditate when I want to look inward.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, man, that is... that's a really good way to do that because, going back to, like, the visualization thing, like, and how you said you're priming yourself, right? Mm-hmm. You're literally creating neural pathways within your mind, right? Because, there's these things called neurons, right? And there's, like, they're chemical messengers, and, like, whenever you become aware of information, obviously you'll forget it. I thought shit goes in one ear out the other. But what's good about expanding your awareness into many areas, right? By thinking about it, it can help prime you by being like at least a little bit ready for something in the future. Because when you create these neural pathways, right? You're at least a little bit aware of it. And since you're a little bit aware of it, it can help you avoid certain situations, right? But it can also prepare you for certain situations. So by visualizing yourself and say, such as like a fight, right? A judo fight or something, right? And your opponent throws a certain move or something, you'll your mind will be primed and know what to do, even subconsciously, in response to that, without you even consciously thinking of it. Because, like, when you're in a fight, dude, that shit's all instinctual, right? Like, it's all reflex, pretty much,
good
right?
amount,
Yeah,
like,
a lot of it's training.
I forget what the quote was, but it was by, it was Tim Kennedy, who's, he was a UFC fighter and current, Army Special Forces, Green Beret. Really, really strong sense of motivation for, someone who perceives themselves as a warrior. Mm-hmm. But he was saying, I think it was something about, in moments of crisis, you're only as good as your training. Okay. Yeah, but it's that's so true. And that's going back to the visualization thing, because, if you're in such a high-stress environment, such as, a combat scenario, you're going to be operating on pure instinct unless you have training to fall back on.
Yeah.
And that's why, number one, for me, martial arts is such a liberating thing, being able to know that, in the event this scenario were to occur, I can handle myself, so it reduces the fear of that situation.
Yeah, for sure.
And I feel
kick somebody's ass.
Yeah, true. So it's just you can kind of just like that helps with the whole being unapologetically me because I don't
Yeah.
exist in fear of anybody else.
Okay. Yeah. But you got to be careful at the same time, making sure you're not superior of
Exactly.
anyone else.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
don't. So yeah, there's a difference between
Yeah.
being
When it's needed.
yes,
Yeah.
So it's like you don't want to be asserting yourself on other
Yeah.
people negatively, but
Yeah.
you also don't want to be perceived passively.
Yeah.
Like so the whole thing is like don't mistake my kindness for weakness. Like be kind to everybody. Be the respect. The golden rule for a reason. Treat people the way you want to be treated.
Yeah, man.
But if you treat me badly, like
you're gonna get the same treatment back.
yeah, exactly.
All right.
But that's the whole deal. But
Yeah.
it's that same scenario where it's like once again the perception affects the reality.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if it's all about the vibes you output.
Yeah, man, for real. Like, yeah, I mean, I think the way you described it was fucking awesome, you know? Like, you've got to be unapologetically yourself. And, you know, for a lot of people, that is hard to find.
Oh, yeah.
You know? And it's like, but you search so hard externally, but it's been with you the entire time.
Jesus.
You know what? We're just gonna, you want to just...
Yeah, we'll cut it there.
Voila, I'm feeling my vibe. I'm getting in tune with my emotions. I write them all down. No, I ain't stuck now. I'm going up.